When people hear the word millionaire, they imagine shiny cars, private jets, and someone who somehow figured out life better than the rest of us. But what if I told you that the richest guy in my hometown became a millionaire, not because he was smart, but because he was willing to ruin anyone who stood in his way? My name is Aaron, and this story isn't about me. It's about my best friend's father, Elias Ward, the man our town used to call the Golden King. He owned real estate, restaurants, tech startups, hell, even the local newspaper. If something made money, Elias owned a piece of it. People admired him. Some feared him. But almost nobody knew what was hiding behind his success. I only learned the truth the night he called me past midnight, whispering like a man being hunted. Aaron, please, I need you to come over, right now. I did something terrible. This is the moment everything began to unravel. Elias used to say he came from nothing, but that wasn't exactly true. He grew up middle class, had 2 loving parents, a stable life, nothing special, nothing tragic. What was true is that Elias hated being ordinary. He hated blending in, being forgettable. For him, the worst insult wasn't being called cruel or selfish. It was being called average. By the time he was 29, he made his first million selling a tech company he strategically acquired from a friend. The friend didn't know he was signing away ownership rights. Elias made sure the contract was written in a way that looked harmless. And when the friend realized what happened, Elias sent a gift basket and a note. Don't take it personally. You should have read the fine print. That was the real Elias, brilliant, charismatic, and completely unapologetically ruthless. But here's the thing about ruthless people. Eventually they run out of strangers to hurt and start hurting people close to them. I grew up with Elias's son, Jacob. We were the same age, same school, same lunch table. Jacob was everything his father wasn't. Quiet, gentle, thoughtful. If Elias was a hurricane, Jacob was a soft breeze. But Elias didn't see kindness as a strength. He saw it as a defect. When Jacob turned 16, he told his father he wanted to become a writer. Elias laughed in his face. A writer? You don't make millions writing, son. You make millions by crushing the competition. I remember Jacob shutting down after that. He stopped sharing his dreams. He stopped smiling as much. He learned to stay small around his father. I always wondered how a man with everything could be so damn empty inside. Then came the night Elias called me, shaking, whispering, begging. When I arrived at the mansion, the door was wide open, a red flag by itself. Elias didn't do open. Every inch of his life was gated, encrypted, secured. He was pacing in the living room, hands shaking, eyes red like he hadn't slept in days. Aaron, he said, I need you to help me hide something. My stomach dropped. Hide what? Elias looked at the floor, then back at me, tears forming. My son. For a moment I couldn't breathe. What happened to Jacob? I asked, terrified of the answer. Elias walked me to the hallway, where a door was half open. Inside, Jacob sat on the floor, knees pulled to his chest, shaking like he'd seen a ghost. His hands were covered in something dark, blood or paint, I couldn't tell. Elias whispered, he knows. He found the evidence. Everything I've done, all the deals, the fraud, the payoffs. He found the folder. Jacob looked up at me with hollow eyes. He ruined people, Aaron, he said. He destroyed families, lives, and he wasn't even sorry. Before I could respond, Elias grabbed my arm. I'm going to fix this, he said. But first, no one can know. I need you both to stay quiet. And that's when the argument started. Father against son, truth against money, morality against power. Jacob screamed at him. You can't buy your way out of this. Not this time. Elias's face twisted. Not angry, not sad, but scared. Truly scared. Because the week after the confession, Henry Lowell's daughter came back to town. And she wasn't here for closure. She was here for revenge. Her name was Emily Lowell, and I recognized her the moment she stepped into the cafe where I worked. Same sharp eyes as her father. Same way of staring straight through you, like she was reading every lie you'd ever told. She ordered black coffee, sat in the corner, and spent an hour watching people without touching her drink. Then, when the cafe emptied, she called me over. "You're Aaron Ward's friend, right?" she asked. My heart stopped. Not many people used Elias's last name with that tone, like it tasted rotten. "I knew Jacob," I said carefully. "We grew up together." She nodded slowly, studying my face. "Then you know what his father did to mine." I swallowed. I did know. At least now I did. But before I could respond, she leaned closer. "I'm going to make him pay," she whispered, "and you're going to help me." I stepped back. "Why would I help you destroy Elias?" Emily tilted her head, then smiled, a cold, calculated smile. "Because you were at the house the night he confessed," she said, "and because I'm not here only for him." For the first time, I felt something worse than fear. She knew too much. Meanwhile, Elias was spiraling. The confession he'd given us wasn't because he wanted forgiveness. It was because he knew someone was coming for him. Someone who had already left him messages, threats, photos of his businesses with the words "payback time" spray painted across the doors. Jacob begged him to go to the police, but Elias refused. "You don't understand," he said. "If I go to the police, my entire empire collapses. Everything I built, gone." Jacob snapped. "Everything you stole, you mean?" For a moment, I thought Elias might hit him. Instead, he turned away. "I did what I had to do," he said. "You'll understand one day." But Jacob didn't want to understand. He wanted out. Out of the lies, out of the legacy, out of the shadow of a man he no longer recognized. That's when Emily reached out to him, directly. I didn't see the message until later, but Jacob showed it to me with shaking hands. "I'm Emily. Your father ruined my life. I'm going to expose him. I don't want to hurt you, but I need your help. Meet me tonight." There was an address, an abandoned factory outside town. "Don't go," I told Jacob. "This is a trap." "I know," he said, "but maybe she deserves justice." He looked broken, not scared, done. "If someone doesn't stop him," Jacob said, "he'll keep hurting people. This has to end." He asked me to drive him there. I refused. I begged him not to go. So he walked, alone, into the dark, toward a girl who wanted revenge more than she wanted sleep, toward the past he never chose, but now had to face. When he disappeared into the night, I had the sickest feeling in my gut, like something irreversible had just started. And I was right. 3 hours later, Elias burst into my apartment, pale as a ghost. "Aaron," he said. "They took Jacob." I froze, staring at the note like it was something alive. The handwriting, the phrasing, the tone. It wasn't Emily's. This wasn't the voice of someone seeking revenge for a dead father. It was the voice of someone who knew me personally, someone who didn't want to drag me into the fire. Only Elias, Jacob. But why would he write this? Why leave a warning instead of asking for help? Unless he wasn't the victim, unless he wasn't innocent in all this, unless he didn't want to be found. When I returned to Elias's mansion, I hid the note in my pocket. He was tearing his office apart, shredding files, burning documents, smashing hard drives. It looked less like a man preparing to surrender, and more like a man preparing for war. "She wants everything," he muttered. "Every file, every account, every secret. She wants to erase me." He didn't look up when I came in. "Did you find anything?" he asked. I hesitated, just 1 second. "No," I lied. If I showed him the note, if he realized Jacob might be involved, Elias would panic. And panic, for a man like him, didn't look like fear. It looked like violence, even toward his own son. At sunrise, the doorbell rang. I've never seen Elias move so fast. He practically ran to the entrance. He was expecting Emily, expecting a demand, a ransom, something. But when he opened the door, it wasn't Emily. It was an envelope, placed carefully on the mat. Inside was a flash drive, no note, no instructions, just a drive. Elias stared at it like it might explode. Then he plugged it into his laptop. A single video opened. When it started playing, he dropped to his knees. The screen showed a dimly lit room, concrete walls, no windows. Jacob was tied to a chair, breathing, alive, but barely. His face was bruised. One of his eyes was swollen shut. Someone behind the camera asked, "Tell him." Jacob shook his head. A hand appeared, a man's hand. It grabbed Jacob's hair and yanked his head up. "Tell him," the voice repeated. Jacob groaned in pain, and then he spoke, not to the camera, not to the kidnapper, but directly to Elias. "Dad." A long, shaky breath. "Tell the truth." Elias choked on air. Jacob continued. "You didn't just ruin Henry Lowell," he said. "You made sure he couldn't recover. You told your assistant to report him to federal auditors. You blacklisted him. You destroyed him." The hand behind Jacob tightened. "You made sure he lost everything," Jacob said, tears forming. "So you could buy his company for $1. Elias punched the floor. "Stop!" he shouted at the screen. "Stop this!" But the video kept going. "Dad," Jacob whispered, "you didn't just ruin him." A pause. "You ruined me." And then the video cut to black. Elias stared at the screen like he'd just watched his own funeral. "This is her," he said. "Emily. She's forcing him to read lies." But the tremble in his voice betrayed him, because something in his eyes said he knew. It wasn't lies, not this time. "I have to find him," Elias said, standing up. But I grabbed his arm. "Wait," I said. "Think, what if this isn't Emily? What if—" He ripped his arm away. "Don't tell me how to think. You have no idea what's happening." "Actually," I said quietly, "I think I do." And I pulled the note from my pocket, the one addressed to me, the one with the single initial. He snatched it out of my hand, read it, and froze like a statue. "This isn't her handwriting," he whispered. "Exactly." Elias's face twisted, confused and horrified at the same time. He looked at me, then the note, then the video. "Aaron, what are you saying?" I took a breath. "I'm saying Emily Lowell might not be your enemy," I said, "and your son might not be your victim." Elias staggered back. No, Jacob would never—" But he didn't finish the sentence, because deep down, he knew. You can only break a person so many times before they break back. That night, I got a call. Unknown number. When I answered, a familiar voice whispered, "Aaron, stop looking for me." I didn't sleep that night, not even for a minute. Jacob's voice kept replaying in my head. "No one has me." The bruises in the video suddenly made sense. They weren't from a captor. They were self-inflicted. He hurt himself to make the lie convincing, to make his father suffer, to finally make Elias feel something. Jacob wasn't a hostage. He was the architect. When I arrived at Elias's mansion the next morning, he looked like he'd aged 20 years overnight. Eyes swollen, hands trembling. Papers scattered everywhere. He'd been trying to decode the flash drive for new clues, but he wasn't thinking straight. He wasn't even thinking at all. "Aaron," he said the moment I stepped inside, He's not capable of this. My son is a good boy. He's quiet, sensitive." "He was," I said, "until you taught him that kindness is weakness." Elias slammed his fist against the desk. "I gave him everything." "Except what mattered," I shot back. He opened his mouth to argue, but nothing came out, because he knew I was right. Jacob had never wanted wealth, or power, or empire. He just wanted his father to see him. And Elias had spent his entire life looking everywhere else. Suddenly the security monitor beeped, a motion alert on the front gate. Elias rushed to the screen. "It's her," he whispered. "Emily." But when the camera loaded, it wasn't Emily. It was a USB drive taped to the gate, swinging slightly in the cold morning wind. No person in sight. Elias ran outside to grab it like a man clutching a lifeline. We plugged it into the laptop. Another video appeared. This one was outdoors. Jacob standing near a cliff at the old quarry outside town. Wind whipping his hair, eyes swollen, jaw tight. He stared directly into the camera, directly into his father's soul. "Dad," he said quietly, "this ends today." Elias gripped the desk so hard his knuckles turned white. Jacob continued. "You always said winners do whatever it takes, even if it hurts people, even if it destroys families, even if it kills someone." A long pause. "Do you remember Henry Lowell?" Elias's face drained of color. Jacob nodded slowly. "I know what you did to him," he said. "I know you blacklisted him. I know you stole his company. I know you called the feds on him. I know you pushed him until—" His voice cracked. "Until he couldn't take it anymore." Elias staggered backward, one hand over his mouth. "No, Jacob, please." But the video kept going. Jacob lifted a small, leather-bound journal. "My therapist gave me this," he said. "Told me to write what I feel. I filled the whole thing with how much I hate you." Elias gasped like someone stabbed him. "And today," Jacob said, "I'm done writing." He walked toward the edge of the cliff, held the journal out, and dropped it into the canyon. Then he stepped back, looked at the camera one last time, and whispered, "You took Henry's life. I won't take mine. But I'll take something else. Your legacy." The video ended. For a full minute, no one moved. Elias trembled violently, hands clutching his head. "He's going to expose me," he whispered. "He's going to destroy everything." He looked up at me with wild, broken eyes. "Aaron, help me stop him." I stepped back. "Stop him how?" "Bring him home, now, before he talks to anyone, before he does something stupid." I crossed my arms. "And what will you do when he comes back?" He didn't answer, because we both knew the truth. Elias didn't want to save Jacob. He wanted to silence him. That's when the phone rang, not mine, Elias's unknown number. He answered breathlessly. "Jacob, Jacob, listen." But the voice on the other end wasn't Jacob. It was Emily Lowell. Her tone was ice. "Hello, Mr. Ward." Elias froze. "You've been looking for me," she said. "Congratulations. You found me." "What do you want?" he demanded. Emily exhaled slowly. "I want to help your son." Elias laughed bitterly, hysterically. "You? Help? You kidnapped him." "I didn't kidnap anyone," she said. "I've never touched Jacob." "Aaron, drive me to the quarry." "No, Aaron," he pleaded. "If he uploads that video, I'm finished." I nodded. "Good." His eyes widened with horror. "You don't understand," he whispered. "I'll lose everything." I stepped closer. "You already lost everything," I said. "You just didn't notice until now." Elias shook violently, tears forming. "Please," he begged. "I can fix this. I can fix everything." "You can't fix a son who finally learned what you taught him," I said. He grabbed my arm like a drowning man. "Aaron, I can't let him do this." I stared into his eyes. "I know." Then I pulled my arm away and walked out, leaving him screaming after me. "Aaron, come back! Don't you walk away from me!" I had one thought in my mind, only one. Find Jacob before Elias does, because if Elias reached him first, someone wasn't coming back. The quarry sat on the edge of town like an old wound in the earth, silent, abandoned, forgotten. But as I pulled up in my car, I saw someone standing near the cliff edge. Jacob, alone, arms crossed, wind tearing at his clothes, eyes fixed on the horizon like he was staring at a life he'd never lived. I climbed out slowly. "Jacob," I called. No response. I walked closer. "You don't have to do this." He finally turned his head, and the look on his face crushed me. It wasn't anger, it wasn't fear, it was peace. "Aaron," he said softly, "you shouldn't be here." "You're about to blow up your whole life," I said. "Emily told your dad you're going public." "I am," he said, "but not with her. She just found me. She doesn't want to stop me." He swallowed. "She wants to witness it." I looked around, and there, under the old steel loader, stood Emily Lowell, camera tripod in hand, watching silently. Jacob continued. "I've already recorded everything. The video is uploading now, scheduled, automatics. Even if I die, even if my laptop gets smashed, it goes live." His voice didn't shake. He'd planned this. He'd prepared. He was done being afraid. I took a step forward. "Jacob, your father is losing his mind. He's terrified. If you post that video, it'll destroy him." Jacob's jaw tightened. "Good." A car engine roared in the distance. Jacob closed his eyes. "He's here." Elias's black SUV tore down the dirt road, skidding to a stop. He stumbled out, hair wild, face red and wet with tears. "Jacob!" he screamed, sprinting toward us. "Don't do this!" Jacob didn't move, didn't even blink. Elias reached us, panting, falling to his knees in front of his son. Jacob, please, please, don't ruin me. Jacob stared down at him. Dad, he said, you ruined yourself. I can fix it, Elias sobbed. Just tell me where the files are. Emily stepped out from the shadows. He's not giving you anything, she said coldly. Elias's head jerked toward her, eyes filling with hate. You, he spat. Your father was weak. He lost. Emily slapped him so hard the sound echoed across the quarry. He lost because you cheated. Elias lunged at her, but I grabbed him and shoved him back. He broke, fully broke, collapsing on the ground, sobbing into the dirt. Jacob, son, I'm begging you. I can't lose everything. Jacob crouched down so he was face to face with him. You didn't lose everything, he said. You lost me years ago. Elias cried harder. You're all I have, he whispered. You're all I ever had. Jacob closed his eyes. Then why, he said quietly, did you spend my whole life acting like I wasn't enough? Silence. Only the wind. And Elias's shaking breaths. Jacob stood up, turning toward the cliff again. Elias lunged to his feet, grabbing Jacob's arm. Stop! I won't let you do this. But Jacob didn't pull away. He just looked down at his father's hand. Let go, he said calmly. No, Elias sobbed. No, Jacob, please. Let go. His voice cut like glass. Slowly, trembling, Elias released him. Jacob took a single step toward the edge. I felt my heart stop. Emily held her breath. Elias fell to his knees again, choking on tears. Jacob, please, don't leave me. Jacob turned, and what he said next shattered everyone. I'm not leaving you. He pulled out his phone. I'm leaving your legacy. He pressed a button, and the upload finished. Video posted, irreversible, viral within minutes. He showed the screen to his father. It's over, Jacob said. Then he turned his back on Elias and walked away from the cliff, not jumping, not dying, just leaving everything behind. Emily followed him silently. I followed too. Only one person stayed behind. Elias Ward, a billionaire, a shark, a man who'd built an empire on broken bones, now kneeling alone at the edge of the quarry, screaming into the wind as the world finally learned the truth about him. Epilogue. 1 year later.